Hi, folks. Welcome to Talk Formula One. It seems like ages, but it's good to be back. I know OBJ gave you a snippet of, what to expect this season, but without wasting too much time, let's jump into it. Let me welcome OBJ. OBJ.
Well, absolutely. Well, I did say welcome last week, just to do a very quick intro. Welcome again to Talk Formula One. Hopefully, we'll have an exciting season and we'll start seeing some podiums.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. And
Mhm.
before we get into Saudi Arabia, my apologies for us not giving you a coverage for the first race of the season, but it happens. Anyhow, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Qualies. Qualies was kind of like very keenly contested because, it's barely 2 seconds covering first and last on the grid. Well, I think I'll just talk about who's the main highlights of qualies from my perspective.
Main protagonist, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Max and his drive shaft failure, which allowed him to qualify 15th on the grid. And the other casualty was Lando tapping the unforgiving walls, and losing, his steering as a result. So he also
I,
didn't get to go through.
I,
But
I,
I
I
think.
think he momentarily lost his head there and then lost his steering.
Well, I guess his new teammate is pushing
Don't you think?
him. Oscar, what's his name?
Don't ask me. I could never pronounce it.
Is, oh,
Let's carry or something like that.
yeah. Guys, forgive us, but it's the Australian young man, and he seemed to have had Lando, unlike Lando's been accustomed to Lando's been the top doggy in the McLaren team over the last couple of seasons. So, to have someone pushing him, but yeah, this is what F1 should be all about.
Indeed.
Yeah, into the race. What did you think about the race?
Uh, well, I think my excitement level generally has been quite, um, has been quite. I won't call it elevated, if I can call it that. It has not been quite elevated. I mean, I'm sure you know why. My man Lewis is nowhere to be found, and he continues to be nowhere to be found. I think it was a good race. I think, Verstappen is beginning again to win my respect. He kept it clean and he made his way through the field to get himself on the podium. And I mean, if I was going to say anything about the race, it's the performance of the race, which I continue to find difficult to understand, or in fact irrational. It started off on hard tire. I don't know whose idea that was. And the advantage of the hard tire, it didn't seem to have ripped it. So when he ended up going on to the medium, which is clearly the faster tires, I was expecting some pace. And yes, we did have some pace. He was basically well within 1 second of a man. What's his name? George Russell. And I thought, well, hang on, is Mercedes going to let these boys race, or there's going to be some kind of
Team orders.
team orders, or the hand of God interfering and moving things around? And lo and behold, um, George Russell did not decrease the distance between him and the chap in front of him, so that meant that he wasn't going any faster. And suddenly, what was well within the 1 second for Lewis Hamilton went to beyond 1 second, went to 2 seconds. And I'm thinking, on a set of medium, that is the faster tire. How on earth did that happen?
Yeah,
So
well,
that's my two pennies. Saudi
Well,
Arabia.
you have to also remember the mediums, although they're quicker, don't have as long a lifespan. So you're gonna get a sprint out of it. But
If if if, if any
that's the
if
trade-off
anybody
mediums and
if anybody can manage tires, is Lewis Hamilton. And we've seen him on a set of soft tires do 20, 30 odd miles on soft tires. And people say, how on earth can this guy get performance out of these tires? So Lewis is a smart racer, he's a hard racer, but he knows how to manage his tires. I mean, the way that the performance just disappeared from those mediums, I think I'm still scratching my head. I'd love to see that telemetry.
And that's something you're not going to ever get to see. So,
Well, as you know, Lewis once in his racing career had demanded to see his telemetry because things just weren't adding up, and the team was keen not to let him see it. So it makes you wonder. We're back in the good old days, or anyway, enough of that. Yeah, so that was really my and I think FIA's decision about the penalty is just absolute rubbish. I'm not quite sure which brand of pot they started smoking, but it's certainly not the one from Ajegule, because that decision was just stupid.
well, I guess I guess it was a catalog of silly decisions. On the starting grid for starters, I think you can argue it both ways, but Alonso not being exactly in his grid box and being a little bit to the left didn't gain him any advantage. So
Didn't get him any advantage, and
quite
everybody
frankly, I
does that.
felt that penalty was unnecessary and unfair. But hey, and then
And he served the penalty. He served it, and he
did.
still went happy with the way he served the penalty.
Penalty, they said, there was contact with the car, because
Contact
they said
in a fraction of a second.
they said the jack touched the car. I mean, come on, guys. Sometimes I don't want to be as rude as you've been. We both got to have to, keep it. But, they practically wanted to take the shine off Alonso's performance there, which, I quite frankly think, isn't what the sport should
I
be
mean,
about. Yeah.
it is, and I think it killed it for a lot of us. And I think FIA, you just have to begin to question, their approach. If he gained an advantage, like you rightly said, we'll say, well, yes, he did get an advantage, and we need to remove that advantage. But that certainly wasn't the case. Then he served the penalty for the life of me, and then you say no, the penalty was not served, and then slap another 10 seconds on. It just makes no sense. But there you go. That is Formula One.
Yeah.
I guess that's why we love the sport so much. That's why we're not allowed to see what the race engineers are doing to the engines of different drivers, turning up the power or turning down the power. You have the driver screaming more power, and there's just a muted response from the people, and like, we didn't hear what you're saying. You're not getting more power. And I'm keen to overtake this guy. So we've seen it all in Formula One, I guess is what I'm saying. Nothing should come as a surprise.
But I'll pick you up on that. I guess when you have a good car, you have a good car. When you don't, you don't. Because why I'm saying this is compare how Max was able to pick his way through the traffic in comparison to Leclerc, who managed to pick his way through most of the traffic and then practically wasn't able to make much more progress. Do we put that down to the fact that the Ferrari package isn't the complete package just yet, or what exactly do we put that down to? I mean,
I'm not sure.
I have to add to that Leclerc also was unlucky with his pit stop, because one lap later he would have been able to pit under the safety car, but
absolutely, yeah. Well, this is Formula One. That
played completely into Max's hands, even on compromised Checo's race. But in being fair to Max, I guess my take from the race yesterday, in all fairness, Checo did a good job of holding on to that race win. But
I think it did, yeah.
From their performances, clearly Max is a championship winning driver. Checo, I wouldn't necessarily say is a championship winning driver. And I'll give you my reasons why. It's not because I'm very fond of Max, but it's just, it's what's on the table. So end of the race, I would have expected Checo to cover all the bases by trying to put in the fastest lap and hold on to that extra point to lead the championship with, which he didn't do. Max, however, played the waiting game and waited till the very last lap to, extract everything out of the car. That's one thing. The other thing is Max just seems to be able to get more out of that car than Checo is able to get. So, hey, I never thought I'd, say good stuff about Max, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think Max has earned all our respect, and we need to start showing the respect he actually deserves. I think what I'm really pleased about is he's become a bit more matured. And we've seen, I hope we've seen the last of those really, really desperate overtake, as in give me space or we're both going to crash out of the circuit. Because we just can't afford everybody driving like that. It would be absolute chaos. So hopefully, some might have.
I don't know if I'm going to annoy our viewers at home, but I'm going to say it. I just believe, and forgive me, I think this is something to solely and wholly do with Hamilton being a 7 world-time champion. I think it just brought out the beast in Max, because Max seems to be a completely different driver. Now he does not have to contend with a Lewis Hamilton. And that, in my books, points to something, but we will not go there. I mean, Max seems to have calmed down as a driver. Bearing in mind he had one championship handed to him, or rather stolen from Lewis, but hey, we won't go into that. We won't go into that.
Not stolen, yeah.
Interesting times ahead. Teammates, I think Ocon and Gasly seem to be shaping up for a ding-dong battle this season. Time will tell. Ocon seems to still have the edge, but you could put that down to being in the car longer than Gasly. But I sense there's going to be a lot of fireworks coming from that pair.
Yeah, indeed. And Lando, I mean, I think this is probably going to be, my last comment around the racing in KSA. I mean, Lando put in such a wonderful performance last season, and so far, I don't want to say I've not been impressed, but I haven't been impressed with. He doesn't look threatening or like he's got something in store for us in 23, 24, but still early days, second race. Let's wait and see. So over to you for final comments, and in any event, goodbye from me. Dilly.
Well, I guess I don't have too much more to say. I'm still very much impressed by the pace in that Aston Martin. I think they have come to the races this season, and if Ferrari and Mercedes don't watch it, they may just find that Aston Martin takes that second constructor's position. But time will tell. So far,
time will tell.
So good. All right then, folks. I guess this is where we wrap it up this evening. Look forward to catching up with you guys in 2 weeks' time when Talk Formula One will be back, and we will be with you more promptly than we've managed to do today. Have a good evening.
Yeah, take care. Enjoy the rest of the day.